You know, sometimes life feels a bit like trying to plant a garden on a rooftop, or like being asked to be a river when everything around you is dry and cracked. It's not always easy to show up when when hope when the world feels cold or indifferent. But maybe that's exactly where God wants us, right there in the middle of it, blooming in places that don't make sense. Maybe being a flower in the concrete isn't a mistake. Maybe it's the point. If God asks us to grow in the hard places, he'll make sure there's enough light, enough rain, enough grace to get us through. But to live that way, really live it, we need to show something deeper than just good vibes or self-belief. We need holy confidence. Not the kind that ignores risk, but the kind that says, even if it's tough, even if it costs me something, I'm still in. We can't keep God to ourselves. We can't stay hidden and safe when the world is desperate for the love and hope he put inside us. So today, maybe the prayer is simple. God, help me not care so much about the outcome. Help me trust you enough to fully show up, even if it's uncomfortable. Because who knows, your little flower in the concrete might just change everything. And maybe, just maybe, God is doing something new in you. In Isaiah 43:19 says, I am about to do something new. See, I've already begun. Do you not see it? Sometimes we miss it because it doesn't look like what we expected. It doesn't come with a fanfare, but even in the wilderness, he's making a way. Even in the dry wasteland, he's creating rivers. So if life feels barren or you feel stuck or cracked and lifeless, don't lose heart. You might already be standing on the edge of something new. God's not waiting for perfect conditions. He's already moving. The question is, can you see it? And here's the truth. Most of us learn the hard way. It doesn't really get easier. You get stronger. The rooftop is still windy. The concrete is still rough. Some days the riverbed is looking dry. But over time you realize that you're not as fragile as you thought. God builds something steady inside you, a resilience, a rootedness that can't be shaken just because the circumstances are hard. You don't stop feeling the weight of it all. You just stop letting it define you. You learn to trust that strength doesn't always look like winning. Sometimes it just looks like staying planted, day after day, in the place God asked you to be. And listen, if we're going to talk about living like Jesus, we have to start by looking at the gospel. That word gets thrown around a lot. But let's be clear, the gospel means good news. But honestly, I don't think that does it justice. It's not just good news, it's great news. It's actually the best news humanity has ever heard, because the gospel isn't just that we get to invite Jesus into our lives, it's that he's already invited us into his. That's the amazing, humbling truth. But before we ever reached him, he's already reached for us. Before we tried to belong to him, he's already made a place for us in his heart. That's not just religion, that's love. And that's the fuel behind every garden we plant, every dry place we try to water, every crack in the concrete we bloom through. If you want to start living like Jesus, to truly embody his teachings and stand out like a flower growing through the concrete, then you must begin by loving others as he loved us. In John 13:34-35, Jesus gives us a clear and powerful command to love one another. This love isn't just a feeling or a kind gesture, it's a radical, sacrificial, grace-filled love that mirrors the way Christ loves us. It's through this kind of love that others will recognize we are his disciples. Treat others the way you want to be treated, with compassion, with patience, with forgiveness, and with the grace of God. When you do this, your life becomes a testimony, a living example of divine love in action, even in the hardest and most unlikely places. I can share some testimonies to echo this. Back in 2019, whilst I was at the doctor's office, someone walked past me, took a headphone out of one ear, and simply said, "Nice kicks," referring to my green Adidas Gazelles. Other shoes are available. It was such a small passing moment, but it stuck with me. There were no expectations, no strings attached, just a kind word from a stranger. At the time, I thought it was just a compliment, but looking back, I see how God was working through him to reach me. That small act of kindness lifted my spirit more than he could ever known. He may not remember saying it. He may have gone out and bought himself a pair. But what matters is that it made an impact on me. It was a reminder that love, kindness, and encouragement can be shown even in the simplest of ways, and that God can use anyone at any moment to touch someone's heart. Another one is when I worked at an electrical wholesaler, we often had retail customers coming in to purchase goods. One day, an elderly woman needed help with a very large box. Without thinking, I offered. I followed her out, opened a car boot, folded the seats down, carefully placed the box inside. It was simple. It was kind. Nothing extraordinary. But when I walked back into the shop, a colleague, with a bit of sarcasm, said, "Look at Christian Martin up to his old tricks." I smiled and responded, "If that's how you want to see God working through me, then I'm doing my job." At the time, it might have just been banter, especially since he was an atheist. But months later, something changed. During a difficult time when his mother was facing serious health issues, he came to me and asked if I would pray for her. That moment shows me just how powerful and far-reaching simple Christ-like actions can be. You never know how God is planting seeds through your everyday kindness. They're just two examples, but I could have picked from so many more. There have been countless moments where I felt prompted to show kindness, paying for shopping in Asda at the corner shop, giving a hand to carry something out in B&Q, complimenting a t-shirt from a TV show I liked. There was one time, the person wearing the shirt turned out to be deaf. His mum signed and complimented the compliment to him. He understood what I'd said and his whole face lit up with joy. It was such a simple moment, yet so powerful. These small acts, when done with love, sincerity, become ways God works through us to reflect his heart in everyday life. And I'm going to be honest for a second. Life's not fair. We say it all the time, but here's the thing. If it was fair, you and I would have been the ones up on that cross, not Jesus. We were the ones who messed up, not him. But grace doesn't operate by fairness, it works by love. That's why we're not just forgiven, we're welcomed, we're not just tolerated, but treasured. So no, life may not be fair, but thank God grace isn't fair either. It's better than fair, it's undeserved, overwhelming, and exactly what we need. So here's the challenge for a very short sermon. Stop waiting for the world to get easier, for life to feel perfect before you step into what God's calling you to do. Your garden in the skyline, you are the river in the dry place, you are the flower pushing through the concrete, not because you are strong, but because he is. Not because you've earned it, but because he's already made a way. Live boldly, love relentlessly, and let your ordinary kindness be a doorway to extraordinary grace. So as we reflect on all the ways God shows up in our lives, through grace, through kindness, through love, let's take a moment to respond in worship. Whether your week has been filled with joy or burdened with weight, this song reminds us of the unchanging truth. There are still 10,000 reasons and more to bless the Lord.